When we discuss the leaked 2026 or 2027, whatever it's going to be, Mazda CX-5 next gen, you guys took to the comments, man, the current design's timeless. They shouldn't change it much. They should have brought the CX-60 instead of the CX-70 into America. I would agree with that there as well. This guy's wife loves her CX-5. It's beautiful. It's simple. This guy just wants the independent rear to stick around, not the torsion beam that we see on the CX-50. While we're all gawking over and talking about the new CX-5, Mazda has way bigger issues other than the styling of the CX-5. Whether it's going to be great or not, we don't know yet. I need to see more of that vehicle. But tariffs could absolutely cripple this company. So Mazda has a strategy now to sort of circumvent the tariffs. We'll get into that today. Also, how much is Mazda relying on Toyota? Toyota owns, what is it, like 4 or 5% of Mazda? How much is Mazda leaning on Toyota going forward with electrification and investment, software, all that stuff? We'll get into that today as well, guys. If you like Mazda, make sure to hit that like button. I would appreciate that. Make sure you are subscribed as well. If I hear anything about Mazda, I typically update you guys as soon as possible here on the channel. All right, so make sure you're locked in. I appreciate you. Guys, did you know this channel's been around now for 7 years? I thank you so much for your support, and I cannot wait to see where the channel goes from here. I mean, I feel like we're still just getting started with the channel. I wake up every day and I'm excited to talk about cars with you guys. So if you guys like I would say we have a really healthy comment section, very little arguing, very welcoming comment section on my videos, and you guys are just amazing. So Mazda wants to focus selling their cars not in the United States, or should I say a huge portion of their cars away from the United States, and they want to focus on selling cars in Japan. 90% of Mazda's business is outside of Japan, so they seemingly want to focus on that 10% to circumvent tariffs. I don't think this is going to go that well, to be honest. That 10% inside of their home market, they want to increase by about a third. So they want to go from 10% there in Japan to 13%. That sounds like a drop in the bucket of total sales. I mean, yes, that will save them millions of dollars, but is it going to? Is the Japanese market going to be able to absorb these large crossovers at higher rates? Are they going to be able to absorb the CX-5 at higher rates? Tadashi Miura said in a press briefing for Mazda, they're considering various situations, including the most recent tariffs. We think there is a pressing need to rebolster and accelerate our domestic business. And we know with Japan and the United States, there hasn't not been even the latest sniff of like a trade deal. All right. It's gone absolutely nowhere. Trump doesn't want to have a ton of Japanese imports. Japan's like, our economy is dependent on the auto industry, so we can't just build everything in America. Our own country would completely collapse. All right. So they can't seem to strike a deal or come close where both sides can benefit. Mazda's not even giving a forecast for earnings in this current fiscal year because of the tariff situation. And we know Mazda's profits are going to be down. The last time we saw them report, they were down 26% for fiscal year operating profit. Just in the month of April, tariffs cost Mazda anywhere from $60 to $67 million. Okay, so you multiply that by 12, we're talking like $700 million. I don't know. That was quick math. Let me get the calculator. It's actually closer to 800 million. All right. If we're on the upper end of that estimate. So $800 million is going to cost Mazda this year. Should I say calendar year, with the tariff situation. So in Japan, they actually gave us some figures that they want to hit in Japan as they focus on their domestic market. Right now, they sell around 150,000 units in Japan per year. To put in perspective, Mazda sold 424,000 in the United States last year. 424,000, and they only sold 150,000 in Japan. Obviously, the United States is a bigger market than Japan, but Mazda wants to lift to 200,000 sales in Japan this year. In Japan, Mazda is, of course, behind Toyota and Nissan. They're also behind Suzuki. right? We don't get Suzuki in the United States. We don't get Daihatsu. They're also behind Daihatsu. So Mazda's behind Honda as well. So we have Toyota, Suzuki, Honda, Daihatsu, Nissan, all ahead of Mazda in Japan. Okay, you might be saying, Kirk, in the United States, it's about the same. I mean, Subaru probably outsells Mazda as well. Subaru sold 667,000 vehicles in the United States. So Subaru outsells Mazda by a ton. So Mazda's even thinking about dialing back the CX-70 and the CX-90 production, right? Because they're going to be tariffed. And even the CX-70 in the United States is still just a joke, right? It's a 2-row CX-90. So they don't even need to produce that vehicle whatsoever. And it costs the same. Actually, it costs more because the entry-level trim of the CX-70 is a better equipped trim than the 3-row CX-90 base. So CX-70 is just a complete swing and a miss. It should have been the CX-60 in the United States. Anyways, Mazda's saying, hey, maybe we reduce CX-70 and CX-90 production and increase CX-60 and CX-80 production for Japan because we're seeing high demand on those vehicles domestically. Mazda has 700 dealerships in Japan, but they are looking to close quite a few of them and focus on the more successful, bigger cities. They want to go from about 250 cars per dealership to 400 cars per dealership in their best-selling stores. And so of all the United States sales for Mazda, 55% of them came from Japan. Where are the rest of them coming from? We have a big portion of the CX-50. They keep ramping up production of the CX-50 in Alabama that shares a plant with the Toyota Corolla Cross. And they also have a plant in Mexico that produces the Mazda 3 and the CX-30. They even stopped shipping the CX-50 to Canada recently to make sure that they won't be hit with tariffs for sale in the United States. So they have more volume for the United States of the CX-50, none for Canada. And that's okay because they'll just get the CX-5 from Japan. So there's no simple fix for Mazda and the tariff situation or any of these companies, right? Especially the heavily dependent on import companies. All right, we're going to switch gears to Mazda and Toyota. What's going on there? Well, their leader, Masahiro Moro, said their collaboration is broader than you may think. We are doing it because of the global competition and the era of electrification and software-defined vehicles. They have to go after many things at the same time. We are moving from an automobile industry to a mobility industry that's a complete game change. It's not the same game as it used to be with internal combustion. It's completely different now. And you have to help each other to save your resources. Well, we know Mazda and Toyota have the joint factory in Alabama. The production capacity there, I think, is total 300,000. Mazda and Toyota are nowhere close to reaching that production volume. I want to say there's something like 90,000 CX-50s made there last year in Alabama, so they're very, very short. And since they're short, they should just build a pickup truck there together. But what do I know? No one's asking for a small pickup truck that's very affordable and has a hybrid. Nobody's asking for that. We know a couple of years ago, Mazda also switched to using Toyota's banks, Toyota Financial Services. That's another way Mazda is benefiting from Toyota's expertise. How much is Mazda going to use Toyota software? All right, I think it's a lock that Mazda is going to use the Arene software in the near future for their EVs and possibly all their vehicles. All right, hybrids especially. All right, is Mazda going to use electric motors, e-axles, inverters from Blue Nexus, something that Toyota, Denso and Aishin have going on? All right, that would make sense. Subaru's using those. Why shouldn't Mazda? All right, economies of scale. Maybe Mazda will do that. I'm not so sure. All right. Time will tell. I feel like once the CX-5 hybrid is announced, then we'll see how much Toyota is involved or Mazda is obtaining from Toyota. We know Subaru's new hybrid is co-developed by Toyota in the Crosstrek, the Forester, and the Outback. All right. So I don't think it's a stretch to say that Mazda could very well have a similar hybrid system to Toyota, but do it their own way. We know that they're doing rotary engines, but I don't think that's going to be I know that's not going to be the only hybrid that they're working on. All right, so time will tell. Mazda is still so unique. They have one of the best sports cars in the world in the MX-5. They have rear-wheel drive inline-six crossovers. I mean, I'd love to see a sedan out of there. I know you guys would love to see a Mazda 6 rear-wheel drive inline-six. I mean, It's just too good to be true, right? The rebirth of some sort of RX vehicle. We have the iconic SP that is going to go into production probably in the next 2 years, would be my guess. Maybe 3 years. It's hard to say, but we know it's coming. We just don't exactly know when. We don't know exactly what kind of powertrain it will have. Rotary seems to be a lock for it, though. We'll see, though. So Mazda will continue on doing things the Mazda way. But the thing is, they might have to rely on Toyota's technologies, Toyota's software, Toyota's motors, maybe even Toyota's engines at some point. Mazda does not want to be a mini Toyota. If we look at Subaru is 20% owned by Toyota. Subaru is kind of like a spinoff of Toyota at this point, except they use boxer engines and have a better all-wheel drive system than most Toyotas. All right. But as we see with the EVs and the hybrids for Subaru, who didn't want to do it alone or couldn't afford to do it alone, essentially just copying and pasting Toyota's technology. Mazda, as they're a little bit behind the 8 ball, but it's not hurting them. Obviously, they just broke sales records last year. They're a little bit behind the 8 ball with the technology. Are they just going to copy and paste from Toyota? I hope not, because I want Mazda to say as Mazda as possible. We already have Toyota. We already have Subaru. I don't want Mazda to just be another card in the deck for Toyota. Who knows what's going to happen to Mazda and tariffs? It's not looking good. It looks really, really dim for them because they have only one model that's produced in the United States. And they can't just like ask Toyota or Subaru, who are max capacity. They can't really afford any more models to enter into their manufacturing plants. Mazda can't ask their allies in the United States to build cars for them. There's just no capacity left. They have to build more plants at this point for more production capacity. Mazda used to have another plant in the United States with Ford, right? I think was that Flat Rock, Michigan, something like that. But that seems like another lifetime ago. All right. Mazda now needs to find a way to get more production in Mexico. Apparently the CX-30 and the Mazda 3 down there apply with the USMCA agreement, so they're not hit entirely with the 25% tariffs. But the CX-50 is shielded better than any other vehicle because it's built in Alabama. So we'll see what happens. I wish Mazda the best. You know, it's crazy. They just broke an all-time sales record for yearly sales in the United States, and then they get hit with massive tariffs. But the United States market that they have is so dependent on cars coming in from Japan, in from Mexico. Oh, Subaru is also, caught out in the weeds. We know Mitsubishi is. Toyota, a huge portion of their cars come into the United States from other countries as well. So Honda, out of all the Japanese companies, still looking the best. But I got to shut it down there. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the comments about Mazda. Do you think they'll just become a Toyota subsidiary over time? Do you think they're going to see massive downsizing in the United States because of tariffs? Only time will tell. Thank you guys. Have a great day and peace.